When Johnny Depp arrived in Los Angeles in 1983, he was just 20 years old, and becoming an actor was the furthest thing from his mind. Depp was playing guitar in a band called The Kids, who had just moved to L.A. from Miami. But the kids learned all too quickly the harsh realities of the music business. Competition was fierce, and the gigs were spotty. Eventually, the kids had no choice but to disband.
It sucked. I mean, it sucked. It was just, but we had no money.
Johnny needed a plan B fast. One of his new L.A. friends, an up-and-coming young actor named Nicolas Cage, had a solution. Cage set up a meeting for Johnny with his agent.
In my world, in my brain, I was a musician, and I got these acting gigs. It was basically just to pay the rent, pay the rent, be able to eat and buy cigarettes, That's really all it was for the first couple of years. I'd always planned on going back into music, which had been my first love for forever and ever. And then, whatever, one thing led to another, and I ended up doing it all the time,
Johnny's first audition was for director Wes Craven, who was casting a horror film called A Nightmare on Elm Street. Craven decided to give the 22-year-old guitar player from Miami a shot. Soon after that, Depp was cast in a small role in Platoon, Oliver Stone's 1986 Vietnam War epic. But it would be the small screen that would make a star of Johnny Depp.
I was asked to go and test for a TV series. So I went in and did it, and I didn't want it, I didn't want to get it or nothing, because I didn't want to be bound by some contract, and, for God knows how long. Anyway, I got the thing.
Fox's 21 Jump Street, a teen cop drama, became an overnight sensation, and so did the star of the show, Hollywood's newest heartthrob, Johnny Depp.
Once the show aired, everything went completely upside down. They turned me into this great potential for a lunchbox and a thermos, People would be pointing at you and stuff like that, It's a very strange feeling. It's really very disconcerting. I don't know if anybody's ever ready for it, but I certainly wasn't. I was aware that I was very privileged at the time. However, the machine that was creating this image and selling it, that's the part. That's what really made me uncomfortable. The fact that it had nothing to do with me, or what I wanted to do, or what I was about. Once I got out of that deal, out of that series, I swore to myself, that I was only going to do the things that I wanted to do.
Which is what Johnny Depp has been doing ever since.
His choices are made on whether he believes in something or not. He could be, the $50 million guy. He's chosen not to, because he doesn't believe that that's what's right for him.
Rather than trading in on his Jump Street image, Depp instead chose to deconstruct it in movies like director John Waters' 1990 comedy, Cry Baby. Depp played Crybaby Walker, a juvenile delinquent who falls in love with a high society girl.
When Crybaby came along, it was like being given pure oxygen. It was just a great joke, made fun of all those sort of movies that they expected me to do.
It was that same year Johnny starred in Edward Scissorhands.
Basically, Crybaby and Scissorhands were the building blocks, the foundation, for where I was going to be able to go after that.
So, when Edward Scissorhands director Tim Burton offered Depp the role of Ed Wood, the cross-dressing B-movie maker, Johnny jumped at the chance to further deconstruct his Hollywood hunk image. This time, leather was out. In Ed Wood, it was all about Angora.
I like to wear women's clothes.
everybody. Let's get set up for scene 112. And then move it in.
By the time they did Ed Wood, Burton and Depp had developed a close working relationship.
The great thing is that there's trust, which is the most important thing, I think, for any actor, any director, is that sense of trust.
Well, I feel the same about him. I mean, you know, when you see somebody good, you don't have to say any, you know, you don't have to flex your, you know, whatever. You just, you kind of just enjoy what they're doing because it's a real collaborative thing.
You want to get up and yell cut and so we see you better.
Yeah.
You know? Exactly. And cut. Yeah.
Depp and Burton also developed a distinctive way of communicating.
I remember on the first film, on Scissorhands, Tim's direction was kind of like, sort of sporadic, kind of verbal sort of hits,
I had a tendency to skip every other word or kind of race ahead and then kind of race ahead of the sentence and then kind of forget what I was talking about at the beginning.
It'd take you a minute or two to sort of grasp what he meant, and then I think we developed a kind of a language.
And make it a little bigger too if you want. It's like it's great. You get stuck, let it fall a little bit, and then
bring it up.
Yeah, exactly.
I never really noticed it, but people are saying, when you and Tim speak, I can't understand what's going on. I don't know what you're talking about, because one minute you're talking about the character, next minute you're talking about Sammy Davis Jr., and then suddenly some kind of strange instrument comes up. And
Johnny and Tim created the Ed Wood character by combining one part former leader of the free world and one part wooden dummy.
He was talking about like Ronald Reagan, and I was talking about like the upright enthusiasm of a ventriloquist dummy.
Are you people insane? I'm the director. I make the casting decisions around here.
Where in the first movie he didn't speak, and this one, he just didn't shut up. It was like he did have a hand up his ass moving. It was like he was like a ventriloquist dummy.
It was great to work with him. Just great. He's each time out, it's like playing a good tennis match. You don't know where the ball's coming back, and that always keeps you alert and alive.
It's all in the eyes and the voice and the head.
That's right. You seem a little agitated. You want to go outside and get some air?
Bullshit. I'm ready now. Roll the camera.
There's something impeccably true about Johnny. And as a result, he's a joy to work with and to be around. He's an old soul. He's very wise.
in a sense, we were doing what Ed Wood did. We were out there shooting this black and white film about a transvestite movie director in the 1950s. In these really bizarre circumstances. But it didn't change our approach or our passion or determination to make it.
I want those two explosions, and I've got to have more chance with the military.
Right.
Ed Wood was the film that firmly established Johnny Depp as not only one of Hollywood's most gifted actors, but one more than willing to take risks.
The stuff that I've been able to do is the stuff that I liked, that I responded to. The material and the characters. You got to try to challenge yourself and then not get bored. Try something new that hasn't been chewed up already.
Thank you, and good night.
And when we return...
I think he's probably an agent's nightmare, in that he doesn't think commercially.